Don't ruin your life. Consider owning some gold and/or silver. I was reluctant to discuss owning precious metals because most people's opinions on the subject, if they have one, were formed by listening to those whose professions make them biased. For example, a stockbroker's livelihood depends on customers spending their finite surplus money on shares in companies, so the broker will naturally advise against spending that money on precious metals. On the other hand, a precious metals dealer depends on people spending their finite surplus money on gold, silver, platinum, etc., so that's what he'll recommend. Similarly, a person with a large stake in cryptocurrency will advise buying cryptocurrency because the more people who buy his particular crypto, the more its price is raised or maintained. However, having a backup source of purchasing power instead of holding it exclusively in fiat currency is to me a fundamental financial strategy, so I'm keeping it as a finance-related video. Keep in mind that I'm not a licensed or certified financial advisor, nor is this investment advice. On the contrary, this is my personal opinion on hedging against standard investments in case they're greatly devalued for some reason. Most standard forms of investment, stocks, bonds, various funds, buildings, commodities, land, under the right conditions, all of these standard investments can become effectively worthless. But if we look back in history, it appears that no significantly advanced society ever thought gold was worthless. Gold has been valued by humans around the world for thousands of years. Gold's unique and rather astonishing qualities make it ideal for use as money, which, aside from ornamentation, has been its primary societal use until relatively recent times. Nowadays, gold's primary use for individuals is as a store of purchasing power. That's because, based on history, a given amount of gold will buy about the same amount of goods and services in the future as it will buy today. Some people, often professional economists, claim that gold is obsolete both as money and/or as a store of wealth. They say it's an archaic holdover from past ages, an economic relic that humans should leave behind, and that it has little value outside of limited ornamental or technological purposes, such as jewelry, plating over other materials, and electronics. But these people are obviously wrong. Scores of extensive, complex, costly industrial operations around the world are currently engaged in digging up gold ore and refining it. There are billions of people around the world who own gold in one form or another, or want to own it for reasons having nothing to do with jewelry or technology. The United States, China, India, Russia, Great Britain, France, and other nations around the world all own stockpiles of gold and spend tremendous amounts of money buying it, storing it, and protecting it. Individual U.S. states, commercial banks, private companies, and various investment entities also own tons, literally, of gold. If gold had no profound, universally recognized utility, then none of these things would be true. It's almost miraculous that something with gold's unique combination of qualities exists in nature. This is why gold is sometimes referred to as God's money. The following are the qualities of gold that make it uniquely suited for use as money, that is, as a societally accepted means of payment for goods or services. Gold and/or gold ore is found in many places around the world, preventing a gold monopoly or even an effective gold cartel. This is not the case with diamonds, for example. Gold, although found around the world, is relatively rare and difficult to produce, from mining to refining, and rarity is a necessary feature of money. Wood, for example, wouldn't work as money. Gold does not easily oxidize or corrode. After cleaning, gold coins and ingots found in sunken shipwrecks look exactly as they did hundreds of years ago. Gold has a distinctive and attractive color, making it easier to distinguish from other metals and harder to counterfeit. Gold is extremely dense. In fact, it's about 1.7 times denser than lead, making it harder to counterfeit and easier to identify as genuine using simple measuring and weighing instruments. Gold can be purified into a uniform condition in a uniform size and/or weight. Contrast this with diamonds, which vary in size, shape, weight, color, and clarity, all of which affect their value. Furthermore, the technology to create man-made diamonds is continually improving. Gold has a mid-range melting point with respect to other metals, making it easier to refine and fabricate. Gold is easy to transport personally as money due to its high value density. In other words, a relatively small amount of gold has great purchasing power. Currently, diamonds are the most common example of this concept. In commercial form, coins, rounds, and ingots, gold is already conveniently divided and labeled as to weight and purity. In raw or non-commercial form, gold can fairly easily be divided into whatever size or whatever weight portions are desired. Contrast this with diamonds or other precious stones. Gold requires no energy source, no technical infrastructure, no electronic devices in order to use it as money. In contrast, exchanging cryptocurrency requires electrical power, a computer, a stored or memorized digital key, and access to the internet. Gold can be exchanged for goods and services instantly from hand to hand. In fact, gold and gold alloy coins were used in everyday commerce in the United States and other countries until relatively recently. Silver alloy coins were minted until the mid-1960s. Gold can be used as money in complete privacy with no physical or digital trail that can be traced. Gold, if used privately as money, can avoid transaction fees. Privately held physical gold has no counterparty risk. That is, it isn't subject to loss due to a person, company, or institution going broke or refusing to abide by a contract, nor is it subject to devaluation due to government-created inflation. Unlike most modern payment methods, converting gold into currency, goods, or services with a willing provider requires no identification, no legal documentation, no proof of ownership, no passwords, and no digital keys. And finally, gold is valued around the world even by those who disparage its use either as money or as a store of purchasing power. I also include silver as being useful as a store of purchasing power and potentially as money. Silver is not as valuable as gold per unit of weight, but like gold, it has been used as money for thousands of years. For most of U.S. history, but not currently, silver has been minted into silver alloy dollars, half dollars, quarters, and dimes. The benefit of owning silver as well as gold is that silver can be used for smaller transactions, those too small for the smallest available gold coins. Even the U.S. government has acknowledged reality in public demand and now permits holding gold as part of IRA retirement plans. I strongly advise keeping at least some of your gold and silver where you can physically access it without having to go through another person or institution. In a crisis situation, banks and their safe deposit boxes, as well as private companies that store precious metals for customers, may be closed. As extra precious metal insurance against fiat currency devaluation, you might consider buying shares in mining companies or other precious metal-related companies. Keep in mind that these don't provide immediate access to the actual metal to use as money in an emergency. Furthermore, in a significant societal disruption, you might not be able to sell the stock because the market could be shut down by an electrical grid failure or by government order. If things got bad enough, mining companies could be nationalized or their output seized by government decree. These aren't apocalyptic events. They have already happened in the United States and other Western countries. I can't tell you how much gold and/or silver to buy or when to buy it. Those factors vary from person to person, family to family, but you can easily research the pros and cons of this subject on the internet. Your standard investments, stocks, bonds, treasury bills, various funds, buildings, commodities, land, may never lose value. A catastrophic failure of our fiat currency system may never occur, but if our society or financial system ever undergo a major shakeup, the dollar price of precious metals will almost certainly rise dramatically, and precious metals may serve as an interim medium of exchange for goods and services, saving you and your family from disaster. If this never happens, there is still another benefit to owning precious metals, which is having a store of purchasing power to access in an emergency, or when you retire, or to pass on to your heirs.